Hello everyone, my name is SwingPoynt and welcome to Outriders. This here is my Melee Devastator build. Cool things about this build. It works really well, even if you have bad gear. You don't need to have a full legendary set. I don't know about you, but I feel like looking up a build video and then seeing that they have nothing but legendaries in their kit, it's a little demoralizing because you're like, man, I don't got time to get all that. I play this game sometimes. I don't got time to get legendary everything. This will work for you. I got you covered, okay? Other cool things about this build is that it works even if you're underleveled. So if you take a look at my inventory here, I'm gonna run with an average item level of 45. And then we're gonna do a CT that has the average enemy level at 46, and you're gonna see that it still performs very well, okay? Other cool things is that it has a ton of sustain, so you're not gonna die. It does a bunch of damage AoE, and it also does a bunch of damage single targets, so you can take down elites. And it's just a bunch of fun. You're gonna be able to punch stuff. There's no other build that gets to punch everything and still be viable. So let's go ahead and have fun with the Devastator here, okay? We're gonna talk about why we do what we do. That's a big theme whenever I do a build video. You're gonna understand why we do what we do. So if you're new to this game, I'm gonna teach you a bunch of things about the Melee Devastator build, about the Devastator in general, and about the game in general, okay? So to start things off, here's the skill tree. If you just wanna go ahead and copy this, you can go ahead and do that. I'm gonna talk about a couple of things and why they're important, okay? Something we should know before we even talk about the skill tree though, is that Melee is a skill. That's very important, and I think a lot of people overlook that. So if you take a look at your skills here, Melee is a skill. It's basically like having a number 4 right here, and it says Melee. It's super underutilized by a lot of builds, man. Melee is awesome in this game, especially on the Devastator. It's like having a number 4 right here. Except what's even cooler about it is, take a look. You see how this says 16, and this says, what, almost 10? Well, the Melee skill, especially with some of the mods we're going to be using, you can do this damage every half a second. Not every 16 seconds or every 10 seconds, every half a second. And you're going to be in par or higher than the base level of some of these other skills, which is awesome. Every half a second. Other cool things about the Melee skill on the Devastator is that whenever you use Melee, it causes bleed to whatever enemy is touched by it. Every class has their own Melee effect. For the Devastator, he causes bleed, Technomancer causes cryo, Pyro causes burn, etc., etc. Devastator causes bleed. Other reasons why Melee is really good on this guy is because he heals a bunch for enemies that are in close range, and he has a bunch of extra armor. The Devastator is made for this. I'm telling you, I don't know why people aren't doing a Melee build. I looked up Melee Devastator to see if anybody had already covered it, see if I had to make a video. And the first thing that came up was like Marvel Avengers Devastator build. I'm like, okay, nobody's done anything for this. So let's go through the skill tree here and talk about why it works. Couple of big ones is right here, Paladin. You want to have your protection skills increase your anomaly power by 45%. It's basically just a big damage boost. Why wouldn't you want a big damage boost? And you can take more damage while you're doing it. So it's like win-win. Another big one here is we run Strong Arm of the Anomaly. This makes it so resistance piercing is higher for every enemy that you hit with your Melee skill. You're going to be hitting a lot of people because, let me show you something here. There's 2 ways to do Melee. So one is you punch forward like that, and that makes like an arc of damage. Another one is when you're sprinting and then you use it. And then you do like a circle around you, and that does a bunch of damage. So you're gonna be hitting a bunch of people for a bunch of damage. So really big deal to have the resistance piercing there, okay? So other cool things. We wanna make sure we have double class Melee damage, because if we didn't have that, I don't even know what we're doing here. It's a Melee build. Other cool things is that you can heal for your bleed damage. So you know how we were talking about, woo, every time we do Melee, we cause bleed? Well, now we can heal every time we cause Melee. So we're doing a bunch of damage, and then also a bunch of damage over time because we're making them bleed, and we have a high anomaly damage, and we're being healed for all that bleed damage. This gets more and more cool the more we talk about it, okay? And then another cool thing here at the end is your capstone skill. This will increase your seismic damage skills by 50%, which is part of the reason why this dude's so high. I got this thing super buffed up. It's usually only like 30,000 when you're at level 45, but we got it super buffed up, and we're going to talk about why we do that. Okay, so let's talk about our skills. We're going to run Earthquake, we're going to run Golem, we're going to run Gravity Leap. We're going to run Earthquake because it's a fast way to get a bunch of damage out really quickly, and it has a low cooldown. We're going to run Golem because it's going to buff our skills with that anomaly damage that we just talked about from the skill tree, and it protects us from damage. And then we're going to run Gravity Leap here because it makes you go real fast. See how you can just kind of zoom in on people? That helps you get across the map really quickly, helps you traverse. Another cool thing with Gravity Leap is that you can kind of get out of the fight and let yourself heal in case anything is going wrong. So let me show you a couple of things about the skills though before we get into it. So show you what I mean about the Gravity Leap. You see how you're up here? Well, now I could go zoom in on anybody who I wanted to hit, but also you're floating. When you're floating, you're not taking damage. So that gives you a chance to breathe and auto heal a little bit in case things are going wrong. Other things to know about the earthquake skill here. So I'm going to press 1 on my keyboard. I'm going to keep hitting it. You see how I keep hitting it and it's not going? Okay, well, there's a way to get around that. You can make it so it goes way, way, way faster. I'm going to show you how to do that. Before we do that, let's talk about the golem skill here. Boom. Now I take way less damage. And if you look into my skills here, this said 68,000 before. Well, now it says 91.5 because of the golem skill. And I bet you golem's done by now. So if I do this and let it reset, it's back down to 68,000, right? So golem's going to do a bunch for our skill damage. On that note, let me show you something in case you didn't know this. This is a really big deal. So if you take a look at shift here, average item level, you should read this. Average item level grants a powerful bonus to your max health and your anomaly power. Really big deal because the melee build is all about anomaly power. So you want to make sure your average item level is high. If you have like a level 20 pistol that's been bogging you down, you might be really surprised if you switch it over to something more current and then everything goes up. If you've ever gone ahead and had your health go up and you're like, why did that happen? I didn't add anything to make it so my health goes up. It's probably because of your average item level. So make sure that's high, and I'll even show it to you. So I purposely have a really low level gun here just for this, just to show you this. Level 34. So I'm going to take my level 47 here. By the way, you don't really use guns with this build. We're going to put that in there, and then I'm going to reset so it recalculates. Ba-bam, ba-bam. And you see how it went down to 62.5? Well, that's because my average item level went down to 44. It's a big thing. You want to make sure you have your stuff leveled up as high as you can. Even if you're not going to use it, just make sure it's higher level. And then you recalculate and it's back to 68,000. So with this golem skill, if you are holding down a directional key, it'll make it so you cast it way faster. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going W and I'm going bam, bam. See how much faster that is? You get way more damage out if you're going to be able to do that, right? Way faster than that. Pause in between the two skills. So just make sure you're moving and then cast your earthquake a couple of times. Okay? Other cool things to know. Let's keep getting into this and why we do what we do. So now let's talk about gear. Gear, you can have crap gear, but you do want to have certain types of mods to help your melee be better. And there's a bunch of them, and they're all really cool. Now, I'm not going to have all the best mods that I think you could use for this. I'll talk about some of them. Like, some of the cool ones that I don't have here that I think would be really good. Power assimilation, that makes it so you have more damage for each elite that's on the field, which is cool for expeditions. Tainted blood, that's going to make it so you do more damage to enemies that are bleeding. There's also one that makes it so you get another earthquake. So you take a look here. How we go bam and then bam. Well, you can do it another one. Or maybe two more. I don't know. You can do a bunch of earthquakes. So there's another skill that comes from a legendary item. We don't have all these legendary things. Like I said, you can do this with crap gear. It'll get better if you have legendary stuff, like especially if you look at the Seismic Commander thing and you have the set bonus. It'll increase your damage towards enemies with bleed by 50%. Well, that'd be a really big deal because this whole thing is about bleeding, right? Because the melee damage is always causing bleed. But we don't have that, and it still works. You can imagine that this build is only going to get way, way better if you have better gear. But, like I said, it works with crap gear. And I bought this from Tiago. You can go ahead and talk to Tiago and just, you don't got to farm for this thing. It was really easy to buy it from him. So don't feel like you got to sit here and spend a bunch of time farming for this. Just go buy it from Tiago. He'll take care of you. He's a good guy. So let's talk about gear and really what we're focusing on. Outside of this thing here, because we really have cool earthquake stuff, what we're looking for is we're looking for attributes that have anomaly power, status power, and cooldown reduction. I think all of these are pretty self-explanatory. You want anomaly power so you can do more damage. You want status power so you can do more bleed damage. And you want cooldown reduction so you can use your skills more often. Cooldown reduction doesn't affect melee. It affects these dudes. Okay? But you want cooldown reduction because the more you can use your skills, the more damage you're going to dish out. So really, you're just looking for anything that has anomaly power, status power, cooldown reduction. Anomaly power, status power, cooldown reduction. And then, what you're also looking for is 2 good mods on every single piece of gear. Now, I don't have that going on, and it still works. I don't need Endless Mass Mosh Pit because we're not even using Endless Mass. This build can be better than it is, but it still works the way it is. So get excited about that. Get excited about how we can make this tremendously better. But some things that are important that you really need to have within your mods, okay? You need to have reduce the cooldown of your melee skill by 50%. Martial arts. Something I should say is all of these are going to be like tier 1 or tier 2. So you can get that just by recycling purple gear. You don't need to have legendary gear, okay? I have one piece of legendary equipment. It's cool, but you don't need it. So you need to have martial arts because that makes it so your melee skill cooldown is reduced by 50%. So whenever you punch, usually there's a 1 second cooldown. Well, now instead of that, there's a half second cooldown. And now typically when you do one of these, there's a 2 second cooldown. Well, instead now it's only a 1 second cooldown. Big deal. It helps you dish out damage a lot faster, okay? Other things you really need to have with this build. Killing an enemy with melee inflicts vulnerable on enemies around you. Vulnerable causes 25% more damage to everything, at least right now. I think they're changing it to make it so vulnerable only causes 15% more damage, but still, that's a big deal. That's a lot of extra damage. You want exposing strike, and it's all about melee anyway. Other things you need. You need. Boost the power of your melee damage by 100%. I don't gotta explain that one. You want your melee skill damage to be higher. And now this one here is really important. Untamed power. I don't think people intuitively think about this skill when they think of melee. Now again, melee's a skill. So whenever you use a skill, you benefit from skill mods. Melee's a skill. Melee's a skill. So using skills causes damage to enemies around you. The damage is equal to 30% of your anomaly power. So let me show you what that looks like real quick. Let me just go to an enemy and I'll show you what that looks like. Here, we'll show it off on this guy. So he's gonna take damage when I use Golem just because I use a skill, right? Here. Bam, you see he took damage? Now, watch when I use melee. I do that 20,000 and then I also do melee damage, right? So that's a really big deal. And that's basically like a free boost to your melee damage because you're doing an extra 20,000 damage every time you do it. So it's like a 30% buff to your melee damage. It's a really big deal. I don't think people intuitively think about skills associated with melee, but you got to pay attention to it. Okay? Those are the mods, frankly, that I think are required. Everything else you can kind of play with, and I'll show you what I'm using. So currently I have a crappy helmet because I'm still trying to get a good helmet with 2 skills on it. But I have extra quake, which is a really big deal. Makes it so you can do more earthquaking. I bought these seismic gloves and they make my earthquake stronger, which is really cool, but you don't need them. Other things I'm running, I have bloody boost. I think bloody boost is pretty important because it increases the amount of damage you're doing by 15% to anything that's bleeding, and everything's always bleeding around you because you're always using melee, and melee causes bleed, right? And then I also have emergency stance on just for a little bit of extra reassurance in case I mess up and I don't want to die. You don't need to have emergency stance, but it's nice if you mess up every once in a while, okay? You could replace that with a damage skill, like something like the one that makes it so whenever you run around, you do more anomaly damage, or you can make it so you have extra quakes going on from the legendary gear if you end up finding that, or you can do power assimilation, or you can do tainted blood. There's a lot of things that you can fill in here, but this is what I'm running and it runs fine. So be creative, but we talked about the important ones. You need martial arts, you need exposing strike, you need brawl, and you need untamed power. Those are the key 4 things you need out of this build. Now, what about the weapons? We didn't even talk about weapons because who cares? The weapons don't matter in this. If you were to try to get anything out of the weapons, what I would do, this is what I do. I would try to make it so you get things that cause a lot of damage whenever you shoot, right? So every 2 seconds, I'm causing 26,000 damage and 25,000 damage to whatever I shoot. So it's basically like a free 50,000-ish damage anytime I do something. Now, these are going to be tied to the amount of level that you have. So try to level this up. You don't really need to worry about firepower. You're not really shooting things, but you can do a bunch of damage with your mod skills. So find things that work like that. And then I also have status power to make it so my bleed does more damage, right? So if you take a look at our shift here, right here, we have a bunch of status power, makes it so our bleed's 130% more effective than it was before. A bunch of skill damage bonus, resistance pierce will go up when we melee people. A bunch of stuff's gonna go up when we use our skills. And now there's a cadence to how you're gonna use your skills here, okay? So let's talk about that. What we want to do first is we want to go golem so we get more damage for 10 seconds. Then we do one of these and we go whoosh onto our enemy. When we're next to our enemy, we punch him. Then we do 2 of these. Then we punch him again. We go bam, bam, and we punch him again. Then we go bam to get those little shots. And we go punch him again. We go bam, and we go punch him again. We go bam, bam, and now this thing's ready to go bam, and go bam, and we'll punch him again. It's a lot of fun. And it works really well. Everything around you is going to die. You don't got to worry about being chased around by those little small enemies. All those guys are cleared constantly. And what's cool about the little small enemies, since they die so fast, and since you're a Devastator, you heal a bunch off of those dudes. You heal like what, 24%? Let's take a peek. You heal 24% of each enemy that's near you. That's really awesome, and it makes it so you can deal and tank a bunch of damage. Okay? So let's show you what it looks like in a thing. In one of these CT things. So again, to show you why this works and crap gear and yada, 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 we're gonna be underleveled. So take a look at inventory here. Average item level 45. We're gonna use that. And then we're gonna go over here and we are going to, I don't know, do one of these. I don't care which one. We can do one of these. And then we'll do this one. We'll do set tier 11. Everything's gonna be level 46. We're average item level 45. So we're underleveled. It's gonna work like a charm. So you can imagine when you're level 50 and you're actually matching level 50, it's gonna scale really nice. Okay? You're gonna be even stronger. And again, you can get way better gear that does way more damage.
I need a hand with.
So we'll check that out. It's gonna be really cool. Okay? So I'm not gonna sit here and try to blow through the whole thing here because I've already been talking a bunch. But I'm just gonna try to show you the idea how it works, and then you can play with it on your own. Because going through this whole thing, it'll take like 10 minutes or something. And you don't need to see me do that. But I'll show you the ideas. Okay? Let's go, buddy. Let's want to go do some things. Here, so I can be like, whoop bam, and I go whoop bam, and then he dead. Now some big boys over here, bam, bam. Like you can see how fast he died. Like he's really getting his butt kicked, right? Bam. Like he's gone. Take that. No more elites for you. And then you're healing a bunch constantly too, right? Which is awesome. I usually don't talk when I play this. Anybody else need to go die here? And see, like this is a nice thing. You can traverse real fast. You break his armor off, which is really cool. Ow, that hurt. Then go do one of these, and then go do one of these. Somebody keeps freezing me. Just stinky. But yeah, you're just like doing a ton of damage. He's like already almost dead. Oh, also, something I didn't even mention before is that this causes interrupts. Oh, there's this guy over here. I didn't even realize he was over here. Let's go kill him real quick. But yeah, it causes interrupts. So you just, it's like you have 4 skills all the time, which is super sweet. And reloading sucks. There we go. Well, bam, and bam, and bam, and then, oh, he's dead? Oh, I didn't realize he was dead. Boom! So, I don't know. I think we're doing pretty well considering we're underleveled. We're taking out elites real fast. Everything else is dying around us real quick. We're not spending a whole lot of time on anything. And we just clear real fast. You know? You know. And again, we're underleveled. So, you can imagine how this will only get better, especially if you have better gear. We're using really crap gear. So, if you're somebody who has crap gear, get excited about that. Yeah, let's go find another elite real fast. Anyone? No? No? Oh, oops. Oops. Let's go kill all the people. There we go. So you can see how we're just doing like a ton of damage, right? Pretty cool. And then you don't have to like follow up on everyone because you do all that bleed damage. You just know they're gonna die, which is sweet. So yeah, pretty cool. So this is how the build works. You kind of get that cadence going. Is there any more elites here? No? Bam! And a bam! And a bam. And then every time you use this thing, you get way more damage in. Here we go. And then way more damage in over there. And then they're all dead. And then you go whoop bam. And whoop bam. And whoop bam. And then you're done. It works really well. With bad gear. And being underleveled. I don't know about you, but as somebody who doesn't have all the time in the world to farm everything, I've been really excited about how this has been working out for me. Whee!
Cullen, the bandit leader's taken care of. Your pass is clear. Where'd these bandits come from anyway?
They were insurgents. Defected to
So,
outside monsters.
this works. It's pretty cool. Underleveled, you can still clear stuff. It'll help you kind of get to that point where you can start reaching better gear, get that legendary gear, start making it so you can actually clear some CTs. Again, this build would be tremendously stronger if you had Seismic Commander, if you had some of the things like Power Assimilation or Tainted Blood or that extra Earthquake, that type of stuff. But it works as it is right now. So if you're somebody who's kind of trying to figure out that, how do I get to the next level? I can't even get going because the Devastator's too weak. This melee thing will at least get you on the right path so you can start doing it, right? And then you can aspire to reach Seismic Commander set bonuses, or getting that extra Earthquake, or getting Tainted Blood, that type of stuff. So I hope this was helpful. Hope you learned a thing or two. Melee's pretty good. It works. It'll get you what you need. And it's really powerful for getting you through your challenge tiers. So if you enjoyed this, let me know. We stream every single night on twitch.tv/SwingPoynt. I would love to see you guys over there. come ask me about Outrider stuff in case I'm doing something different. We did cover a lot of Resident Evil, so if I'm doing something different, go ahead and talk about Outriders. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you got any ideas, or if you want to see other build things from me with the way I think about things and the way I explain about things. Let me know. Go ahead and subscribe so you can see more stuff, and then I'll see you guys in the next video that we do around here.